Hello everyone, it's now noon, so I'll get my next seminar for Google Apps underway here. This one is going to be about Google Calendar, and it's just the basics and a few little tips and tricks at the end there to help you maybe use the calendar a little more efficiently, or maybe with some extra features that you may not be aware of. Just a housekeeping item for you. If you are on Google Plus and watching it there, there is a question and answer tool that's part of the video window there. So if you have some questions you'd like me to answer specifically, try typing them in there, and we'll see if we can make this work too. If not, send me a note afterwards and I'll try to help you directly. So today we're talking about Google Calendar, and I'll just share my screen here and we'll get her started. Google Calendar. All right, I think you all should be able to see this now. Yeah. So this is my devices account here in Wingham. We use the devices accounts in each branch as a way to keep all of the resource items that we're sharing in the Google Apps world under a user that's not a user. I mean, it's just an account we use, and this allows us to maintain common shared things like calendars even. We do have a couple that are shared here, like our production calendar is shared under this account as the owner of the calendar, so that it doesn't go away when that user happens to move on or whatever the case is, so we don't lose things. So again, Google Calendars is part of the Google Apps package. We use it to as a personal calendar. It can be used for multiple special feature calendars. If you have things you're responsible for that you want to have a separate calendar for, you can do that. The interface is the traditional Google Apps interface. Our company logo up in the upper left here. There's a search bar. Google Search works just like other Google search products. In Calendar, it searches for the actual events in the calendar, so that works fine. And across the upper right here is the info about your account. So as you're familiar already, there's your Google Plus account info up here, the Google Apps pop-out that has all the different applications that are available to you. You can, that's a quick start menu, I guess you would call it there. And then there's also a notification list here. So if you have had some other Google notifications, they will show up in here. On the left side here is a mini calendar, so you can pick the day that you want to appear or look at, or you can select a whole bunch of days. You can select a whole bunch, including 3 weeks worth. I mean, you can just left click and then highlight the amount of days you want to show in your calendar view. That's one way. Or you can use these quick buttons up here that will show you week at a time, the month view. This one that's called 4 days is actually a custom view that you can adjust in the settings, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then there's also an agenda view, which the agenda, of course, is helpful if you want to just keep a running list of what's coming up in the next period of time, and you can select what that period of time is. There's also the ability to print the calendars, and you can refresh the screen here without having to refresh your browser. On the left-hand side as well, below the mini calendar is a list of all your calendars. These are the ones that you are listed as an owner of. So they would show up as calendars that are in your account. And then below that, there's a tasks list. So there is a rudimentary task manager available in Google. It's part of the calendar application. You can try it. It's good for the real basic stuff. I use it for some things, and it seems to help. And then as well, there's a place down at the very bottom here where you can add other calendars to this master view. You'll notice here there's colors on the Wingham Devices calendar here and my task calendar, as well as these other calendars that have been added. These all show up, and you can see the various colors in my month view here. These are the color determines which calendar they're actually coming from. And as you can see, it's all merged into one view. So that's helpful when you're trying to create an event that appears on other calendars that you might have here, so you can see them. And then to turn a calendar on or off, you just select the little box on the side here, and that'll apply the color to it. And then you can see the item appears or disappears. It doesn't just hides it from view. That's what it's doing. Okay. There's also a feature that Google provides you with, is that if you have contacts, if you're maintaining a birthday list inside your contacts, so you know that your wife's contact is in your calendar, and you've got her birthday listed there, or for that matter, any staff members that keep their calendar, or sorry, their birthday info up to date inside Google Plus, it will appear in here. So what that means is that if your birthdays calendar is turned on and people are sharing birthdays with you, or you've been tracking them in your own contacts area, they will appear at the top of a day. So if we look at the week view, up in this very top portion here, you'll see the birthdays appearing there. And then, okay, so then we'll just move into the settings area just for a quick minute. Similar to Gmail, there is different densities, I call them here, of the view of the screen. So you can see when I change that, it condenses the white space between. So if you've got a lot of information, a lot of calendars you're trying to show here, sometimes helps to put it in the compact mode so you can see them all. There is scroll bars that appear here when it fills up the page as well. So if we look under settings, it's a lot of it's pretty straightforward. You'll understand it, I'm sure. One thing you can do here is this default event duration. If your meetings, when you create a meeting and your default meeting duration tends to be an hour, then leave it at 60, but maybe you only want it to be a half an hour, or you can change that to another default setting. You can change it in each specific event as you create it as well. There's also this feature, they call it Speedy Meetings, and what it does is it takes 10 minutes off or 5 minutes in the case of a 30-minute meeting, and changes the time duration of the meeting slightly, so that it gives you time. If you've got a lot of meetings to go to, then you can have a time to get between meetings, I guess. You can change the start day. So some people prefer Monday to be the start of the week. Traditional calendar for most people is Sunday, but there's also this feature called warning hours, or working hours. I mean, you can designate your work day, let's say. So let's say you don't work on Saturday and Sunday, so you want to give people, when they want you to join one of their calendar events, but it's outside of your normal working hours, they'll get a little warning message saying, well, that's outside of his normal working hours. It doesn't prevent them from sending it, it just gives them a warning, or an alert about that. As well, it defaults to having past events dimmed in the calendar view, so instead of looking, you'll know where you are in the week. As time goes on, things kind of gray out behind you. And then again, most of this is pretty obvious. There is, I mentioned the custom view. You can change what that custom view is. I have mine set to right now for 4 days, but you could make that 2 weeks, say, if you want to see 2 weeks at a view, or in the custom view. If you put in a location, this is blank default, but if you put in your location here, it will do things like put your weather, if you indicate a weather, you can have a little icon in the upper corner of the calendar. I'll just go back here and show you. So in the upper corner of the calendar, where did it go here? Now mine's disappeared. Isn't that interesting? Oh, there it is there. So in the day, so today it shows this little icon here, and it shows you the forecast for today based on that location. So you might find that helpful. A little tip for you. Back to settings. It's defaults to having invitations automatically being added. So when somebody invites you to a meeting and you have the space clear, so it's not conflicting with anything, it'll automatically put it in there for you. That's the default. You can change that, so only if you've responded that yes, you're going to attend, but you can change that as well. And again, there is keyboard shortcuts. So just a reminder, all the Google apps have keyboard shortcuts, and which means you can use shortcuts from the keyboard to move around, to create a new item, make changes. If you're on your calendar page and you hit the letter C before anything, it will pop open a new item like that. So it helps speed things along if you need it. So let's move along. We've talked about the layout. The searching is simple enough. So if I type in the word lunch, it should give me all the lunch meetings that are indicated here, events. And you can add a whole lot of info to the search, including which calendars to search in. So it's a typical Google search feature. I mentioned the colors that default over here when you turn a calendar on. You can also apply a different color if you choose to. So you just click on this little drop down arrow on the side and then change the color so that your calendar is maybe a little more specific to your needs. If you do want to print a calendar, you can go over here to the More button and hit Print, and it will give you a layout similar to this. I was looking at one day when I did that, so whoops. Sorry about that. I was looking at one day when I did that. I'm hoping you can see this. Let me just verify. Probably not. Typical, but there is a pop-up here that shows the printing ability, the way the print will look. It's a preview, and then you can send it off to the printer. There is also this agenda view. Printing an agenda is helpful as well, obviously, so you can know what's coming up in the next week, let's say. Just a quick little tip for you: if you like using an agenda, which a lot of people do, you can create an automatic emailed agenda. So you can get your schedule sent to you daily, basically every morning at 5 a.m. There's a feature that will email you your agenda for the day, which you might find helpful. As you're reading your emails in the morning, you'll know that things are coming up without having to go and look in your calendar. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So let's go back to some basics here. Let's switch this view back to a week, and we have the big red button that applies to most of their apps for creating a new, in this case, event. There's you can click on the word create, or you can click on this quick add drop down here. I'll show you the basic one, which is create, and we can name the event. So we're going to say sales meeting, and we're going to pick a day. So there's a little drop down calendar. It's going to be this Thursday, and the meeting's going to be at 1 p.m. and it's going to last until 3 p.m. because our sales manager works us hard. And we're going to have just, we'll leave it the way it is there. One cool feature that we have here with having Gmail for all of our branches is there's this option here to add a room. So in the case of this particular sales meeting, we could say that this sales meeting applies to the Wingham folks, so we can add that room, the boardroom for Wingham, into the email. And what that'll do is on there's actually a calendar, a system calendar for the boardroom, and it will show up on that system calendar as well. And anybody that's subscribed to that calendar will be able to see other meetings that are using that calendar. And so that should help for preventing conflicts. If you've got multiple meetings going on, you don't want to be stepping on each other in the boardroom. Well, if you add the boardroom to your meeting that you're scheduling here, if it you'll notice here it's selected show only if available, so there isn't any other meetings going on at this time. So it showed me the Wingham boardroom, and sure enough, I was able to add it. And now when I let's call this weekly sales meeting, and I hit save, and now we have a sales meeting showing up on Thursday, and it has if we select it, it tells us where it is, boardroom, and who's invited, so the people that are invited to it. So this is this account, the Wingham account, but there might be a whole pile of people here. In fact, we could add, let's go add some guests to this meeting. Let's call it our sales Wingham folks. Sales Wingham, where are you? Let's try that again. Sales. Let's pick somebody here like Sales London, maybe. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but I got a pop-up saying that I don't have permission to see all the members of this group because I'm not a member. The devices account would not be a member of the Sales London group, but it will still send the notification out about the meeting to all the members of the group. It just won't let me see them. Maybe a better one to see might be everyone. Do everyone Wingham. Oh, which of course I'm not a member of either. That's the problem with using this devices account, I guess. So at the moment, I've got everyone in Wingham and the sales department in London added to have this meeting, and they'll all get notified. So there'll be an email notification sent to each of those people, and then they can choose to say yes, I'm going, or I'm not, depending on what their time schedule might allow them to do. I'm just going to blow these away because we don't want to bother those folks. So at the moment, I've got the Wingham devices account and the boardroom scheduled to go to this meeting. Again, the description field up here, there's the day and the times. You can put in an actual location. So if you wanted to add a location of Wingham, Ontario, and you can pick your location to go to be part of it. It shows up. It'll show up in there too, which might be helpful. I think you can actually drag. I haven't tried this, but I think you can drag the location from the address bar up here. I'm not going to bother with that, but you could do that. There's also the ability to make this a Hangout meeting. So instead of a face-to-face meeting, you can create Hangouts. And if you're not familiar with these, we can talk about them in more depth at another seminar. But this is basically a video conferencing system that Google has. And as long as you have a webcam on your computer or your phone or other device that you're using, you can participate in these Hangouts. The engineering group has our regular engineering meeting, which we do each Friday morning over a Hangout. So all of the engineering staff are in their own unique branches, but they're doing a meeting over a video conference, and it works really well. We've been doing this for months now, and quite pleased with it. There's also the ability to add an attachment. Often, if you're having a meeting, there's obviously extra info that you might need to share with the people as well, and so you could do that here. You can attach stuff from your drive, from the local computer, whatever the case is. You can change the color of the event, just like you can change color of calendars. You can change the event color as well. So there's the default, which is the calendar color, but you can also change it to some other color altogether. And in addition to that, you can add a notification. You can add multiple notifications, so you can have the Google Calendar, if it's running, do a pop-up, in this case 10 minutes before the event, and it'll warn you that something's happening. And if you're using Google Calendar on your iPhone or Android device, it'll give you a notification on your phone too. You can also have it do it as an email notification, and again, it just sends out an email from this account, so it'd be from yourself to yourself, saying there's a meeting coming up in 10 minutes. Also, you can show down here at the bottom. It says show me as available or as busy. So if you're saying that it's just a reminder or a time period in the calendar you want to just be aware of, you can make it available so other people can schedule meetings at the same time with you. Or you can mark it as busy so you're not available for those meetings. You can also hide or change the privacy settings of the event. So typically your events are private unless you mark them otherwise. So your settings determine, if you look at the calendar settings, and we'll get into that in a moment, it'll show you that the default is private. So people will only see that you're busy. They'll just see, there won't be any info about the item, what you're doing at that particular time. It'll just show you that you're busy at that time. And I'll show you an example of that in a moment. But you can also mark this event to be public, and if so, then the information will be shared with anybody that has the ability to look at your calendar, and that's something else that we're going to work on. So there's that sales meeting. We created it. I'm going to turn on some other calendars here so we can see this, see if it shows. Well, I know we'll add mine and see what happens here. So if I type in Rob Enders, I'm adding my calendar, and as you can see, mine default is private, so that it shows up with the word busy on my events. It just tells you I've got something booked then, but I'm busy. And obviously, we don't have to share private stuff. We'll just share things that perhaps we need to share with others. So, and that's how you do that. And again, you noticed here what I did is I under the other calendars, you can add. It says here add a coworker's calendar. So what I did is I just typed in my name, it knew because it's in the Google system. If we try another, I don't know if Brian will let me share his or not. Let's try. There's Brian. So Brian's busy as well. There you can see he's got some stuff going on yesterday. So the also under the other calendars is the ability to add, they call them interesting calendars. So this is, as you can see down here, I've got a bunch of hockey games scheduled or showing scheduled. I added those, and I did that by doing this drop down, and I browsed interesting calendars, and there is a pile of things. So you know, you could put Christian holidays in there if you wanted. If you want to follow summertime baseball, there's some football. You could be following football games. You can follow national hockey. You know, all the goings on. So this is just a feature that Google gives us. There's also the ability to add by URL, which means that if you're following, if there's a calendar out there in the world that's not in Google, but you can get a URL for it, it's usually called an iCal or ICS dot extension to it. If you add it in here, it tells you here it's an iCal format. You just put it there, and it will show that calendar in there as well, as long as it's shared to the internet. Let's go back here. All right, so I have shown you how to create a new account or a new event. Let's try creating another one, and this time, if you tell it to make it an all-day account, the office. I'm going to be out of the office on Friday, let's say, all day, and then hit save. And you can see up at the top now, all the all-day events show up here in this very top line. So that's how you do an all-day event. I've shown you how to edit. Let's just take another quick look here if there was anything else. You can give guests the ability to modify your event. So if you click on this modify, it will give them the editability of the event. That can be helpful. We talked about, okay, there is also this repeating. You'll notice here the lunch one is shown as a repeating item. And if we edit, so what you would do is you would have selected this checkbox, and then this little window pops up, and I'm hoping you can see this. It's basically it says here it repeats every day, Monday to Friday, and the day that it starts on and when it ends. In this case, it never ends, so my lunches are every day, Monday to Friday, from noon till 1. And what else can I tell you here? Okay, so we've covered, these are all calendars. We can go into the settings of a calendar by hitting the little down arrow for it, and then go to calendar settings, and you can change the name of it. You can put a description to it, maybe a location if that helps for some reason. There are also some URLs available here. There's mentioned the iCal format. So if you wanted to share this with a person that does not use Google Calendar, you could, if you click on this, it will give you a pop-up that has the iCal formatted URL that you could then send them. There's the ability to export this calendar as what they call an ICS file. So if you wanted to export the calendar for some reason, you could do that as well. And there is the ability to embed this calendar. So if you had one of your secondary calendars set up as a public thing that you wanted to share with clients, let's say, that are out in the internet, you could use this feature here to actually embed the calendar. So there's a whole bunch of HTML code here that you would take and place it in a web page somewhere, say on your WordPress website, and then that calendar would be publicly accessible. And feel free to experiment with these things. They can be helpful. There's also at the top here, the menu, there's a share this calendar. So typically it defaults to being shared with everyone in Blackburn, but it's set up to share only the free busy info. So in other words, that you have an event scheduled. It doesn't show the details, and that's what I was saying before, that it's either private or public. And it defaults to being private right now, only showing free busy. And notifications, I mentioned before that if you wanted to do a daily agenda notification, this is an option down here where you can select, if you do this email right here, you can say receive an email with your agenda every day at 5 a.m. And that could be quite helpful. As well, you can set up your phone to receive SMS messages too. So if you wanted to have a text message from Google Calendar saying that you have an upcoming event, when somebody, and these SMSs can be applied to new events, whether it gets changed. There's a bunch of things like that. But you can also do notifications with an SMS. All of that could be helpful. It can also be annoying, so you might be careful about which events you want to follow using SMS, because I've had this set up where it would send me a all-day notification, which started at midnight, by the way, and so I would get that notification at midnight on my phone. My phone would chirp and wake me up at midnight, which I really didn't need that to happen. And then there's also there is an undelete function. So if you accidentally deleted a event from your calendar, there is a trash area, and it will show all the things that have been deleted in the past 30 days here. Okay. The down arrows in here again show you other options. So we can turn off, use this to turn off all the other calendars, so you can only see that one. You can look at the trash for that calendar. You can create an event just in this calendar. You can share this calendar, and we talked about that before. So if you want to put in a list of people, you can put their email addresses. This includes group addresses, so if you wanted to share a calendar with everyone at say everyone in the Chatham branch, you would say everyone.chatham@blackburnradio.com, and then you could set it up to be see everything if you're not if that works for you, if that's your sharing that you wanted to do. Or you could minimize it. You can reduce that down to saying just show me the free busy stuff as well. And by doing that, then people in that branch, all the people on the everyone email list, would have the ability to then look at that calendar. And if it's, in this case, if it was your primary calendar, that's what you would be sharing, then you could, everyone would be able to look at your calendar and see what's on it. Again, that can be really helpful. You can rename calendars as well. So if we look at the settings on this one again, you can rename it up here. What else can I say? We talked about colors. Let's see. There's colors. There's notifications. So, and again, we can turn on a whole bunch of calendars here to be seen and merged into one view. As you can see, there's a lot of info there. Nice to. So you can put a lot of information on your calendar view if you need to. One thing I didn't show you was, if you remember back in Gmail, there was the ability to add what they call Gmail Labs. This one has a Google Calendar Labs as well, so let's have a look in there. There is the ability to hide. These are extra features you can enable into your calendar interface, and some are useful, some are kind of odd, but They might be, you just take a look through here, you might find something that's helpful, such as say this one down here. It's called next meeting. It puts a little box on the right hand side there that says you've got a meeting coming up in 2 hours and 24 minutes. So here it tells us here now we've got another meeting. There's a promotions hangout in Wingham, and it's I'm in that meeting, and it's in 1 hour and 55 minutes here, so it shows up on the side. I mentioned well, there is a number of other ones in there. Go ahead and try turning them on and off and see if they're helpful. I mentioned as well, though, there is a task manager, a rudimentary kind of task manager. It gives you this list that shows up when you enable it. So if we reach over here on the left side, there's tasks. If I turn it off, it disappears on the side. So if I turn it on, it shows my tasks in a list here. So this is my, we can change the view. If you look down at the bottom, there is a view of lists. You can have multiple to-do lists, so that can be helpful. Here's this is the default one here, and I've added 2 more: the do list and the don't do list. There's you can only see one list at a time, and it also shows up. You can see it shows up here on the top of the daily menu or daily view here if it has a deadline assigned to it. So you can see here there's a deadline of Friday, November 27th on the big task, which shows up there. And of course, if you take that out, then it goes away. You can move the order around. So it's again, it's kind of basic, but it does have this you know, it does fill a need. If you like, you can indent them. So if you've got a main project with a bunch of subtasks, you can set them up that way. So that might be helpful. And then when you've completed a task, if you select it, it'll mark it as being completed. So pretty basic. I mentioned that every calendar has a URL, so it does make it shareable to outside of Google. So if there is, say, Apple Calendar or websites that you want to share things on, you can do that. And if you go into the calendar settings, like I mentioned, there is this calendar address, and you can select. So if you selected the HTML one, there is, and if I don't know if this will work, but we'll try it. Let me see if you can see this. Oh, yep, you can. Good. So you're now looking at, this is what the calendar looks like as a web page, basically. This is a web calendar, a view of your calendar as a web page. And again, this means that you can take that web page and put it in the out in the public. So it could be shared as a web page. Google obviously has got the resources to handle the load. If it's a popular calendar, then there's no issues with the servers not standing up to load. The newsroom in Wingham here uses a Google Docs page that way. We take a Google document and we share it as a web page on one of our for our snow day closures. It works really nice. So if you want to see this sort of thing in action, go and check that out, or talk to our news department about it. It's really a good feature, and you know, with the real-time ability of making changes through the Google interfaces. It works really nice. So I'm back here in the calendar page. I'm just going to check in my window and see if we have any questions. Nobody has posted anything, but pretty much wrapped it up here. I've shown you the ability to do the daily agenda as an email. Let's just check my list here if there's anything else. No. That looks like that's the end of this presentation. I'm hoping everybody is picking something useful up out of it. I like doing these. It's kind of an extension to my daily activities here. I don't usually get to spend time doing this sort of thing, so it's fun to try it. The next seminar will be hopefully in the next few months again. I'm trying to schedule these every few months, and chances are it's going to be, I've done a couple on Google Gmail and now on calendaring. These are stored or saved by Google in my YouTube account, so I've sent that link out, and if you missed that, or if you want to get that link from me again, just email me and I can handle that for you. So for the time being, I'm going to shut her down. Thanks everyone for watching, and hope you found this helpful. Take care.